This time on ChinnyVision, get your rods out. No, sadly this isn't a game devoted to getting your drains rodded, or perhaps one starring the former editor of Amstrad Action, Rod Lawton. It's Rodland, a 1990 arcade game developed by Jaleco and ported to the home systems by The Sales Curve and published by Storm. Got ports for the Spectrum, Commodore, Amstrad, ST and Amiga, a few other systems as well, but we're going to look at these ones today. Starting off on the Spectrum, because this is the version I played, I think, via a demo on Sinclair user. So, a nice AY tune on the intro, and this runs on 48k amazingly, without the music, but it does run on 48k, and it's a late game for that. And lots of control options as well. It does have a 2-player as well, which is really good, because you've got lots of control options, and you can make some keys, or Sinclair joysticks, or whatever, or mix Sinclair and Kempston, whatever you like, and that will work. You play the fairies Rit and Tam, who have to rescue their mother from a tower where she's been kidnapped. So we should, once we start, get a little bit of introduction about that. Like the Spectrum version on the intro has music. Mom is kidnapped by a monster. And Mom is taken to the tops of the Mad Boots Tower. And here we go on scene 1, and look at these beautiful graphics. Now, if you've seen the arcade version, then they're very, very colourful, and you don't have any of the backgrounds here on the Spectrum, but you've got lovely animation and very, very clear monochrome graphics. And the player sprite moves really well as well. And here's the Amiga version for comparison. And I don't know if it's the version I've got here, but no music on the introduction, just this text and animation, same as the Spectrum version, but none of the music. Can't be right, surely. So yeah, level layout is the same as the Spectrum version, but you get the backgrounds and far more colour, and the animation is even better. You've got a magic rod which stuns the enemies, and then when you stun the enemies, you throw them around a bit, and they will release a power-up, as you can see happen there. If you collect all the flowers before you've killed all the enemies, you get a bonus game where the enemies turn into these octopus type things, and you get bonus extra life thing eventually. Over to the ST version, the animation isn't quite as good. Neither is the tune, but it's an AY tune. So really, each level you've got to decide it's going to kill all the baddies as quickly as possible and be done with it, or are you going to leave the baddies alone? There's a nice power-up go across there. Leave the baddies alone and collect all those flowers, and then get the power-ups or the bonuses from killing the octopuses. Octopi. Here we go, I've got one of these octopi. I don't know what it is. It's got legs and a big thing in the middle. And these only last for a limited time. They turn back to the normal baddies. Oh, and you can't kill things next to the edge of the screen either. So he's going to turn back any second because I've been too slow. No, I've got him. Oh, no, yeah, he turned back. And there's a power, nice big bomb thing there. And you can see the tower in the background there. We're going to be entering that shortly. Over to the Amstrad CPC. Saw a view of this. Haven't played it. I might have played it briefly before, but not much. Please wait while I load the game. Interestingly, the Spectrum and Amstrad versions are by different developers, so there's no code sharing. And you can see the Amstrad version here is already looking very colourful. It's mode 016 colours. In fact, it's extremely colourful and not very animated at all. It's quite slow, which is a shame because the still graphic of these, apart from slightly garish background here, would be very nice indeed. These little flame things, if they are flames, occasionally they split. It's not so important on this early level, but when you get to later levels, it can get quite frantic. Just a little bit too slow here on the Amstrad. I'm going to try and get all the flowers if I can. There's one splitting down there. If when you're throwing the baddie, oh, I've died. If you time it right when you're throwing a baddie around, you land it on another baddie, you kill him. If you don't, then the baddie kills you. You can't jump in the game, by the way. The only way to get upwards is by pressing up and fire it, and you launch a ladder. And you can also go downwards as well if you're one of the middle platforms. Oh, running out of time. Extra game. And basically, extra game is the baddies turn into letters, and once you've spout out extra, you get an extra life. So it's looking considerably better with this red background here on the Amstrad. A few better colour choices, and it'd be absolutely fine. Perhaps just keep it black like the Spectrum version, it would look really good. Wouldn't solve the animation, but it would look really good. There's no music during the game on the Amstrad version either. Over to the C64. And, oh, it's a big old jump coming over from the CPC. You've got these quite high-res graphics and 50 frames a second motion. Really throws the Amstrad version into sharp relief. This is looking really good. No music in the game, but nice sound effects. And the game's really, really fluid, which is what you want on an arcade game like this. Now, the graphics aren't as high res as the 16-bit versions, but it's every bit as playable and smooth. Arguably smoother than the ST version. Nice power up there that splits into little balls that go all around the place. And you can jump off ladders as well. Now, some of the versions will let you fire off your rod whilst on a ladder, some don't. Spectrum and Amstrad versions do, which indicates to me that their code was reused for the Game Boy version, because the Game Boy version, which we're not looking at today, also lets you fire off your rod on the ladders, apparently. And these sharks are quite dangerous if they're above you, because they throw these little bombs that drop down from the platforms. Each baddie has their own little special move, be it crabs that grab at you, the sharks that throw bombs at you, the bees that can fly around, the crabs that can grab out at you, or the little flame things, or whatever they are, that suddenly decide they want to split into two and start multiplying. Back to the Amiga. So we're into the tower on the Amiga. Got this jolly little tune that I quite like, but some people tell me they find quite irritating. Each to their own. You can turn it off, but I'm not going to do that. Far up a ladder there. In the early levels, you don't need to use the ladders much. It's when you start getting on past level 3, 4, you start to think about what you're doing with the ladder. Because it makes your life so much quicker. Just to throw a ladder in rather than use the stock ones. Also, if a baddie's on one of your ladders, you can just launch another ladder and the baddie will fall off and be dazed. So I've got E, T and A in my extra. Right, that's R. I just need next now. Right, wait for the X, wait for the X, wait for the X, wait for the X. Come on, it's going to be in a minute. Oh. Yeah, it's timed out. Really jolly. It's in that kind of Rainbow Islands, New Zealand story mould. Although harks back to games like Chucky Egg. Although I'm not sure they would have seen that in Japan. Oh, yeah, you've really got to watch out for those sharks and the things they throw at you. Well, that's not a power up, there's bonus points there. And when you fall down, you can jump onto a ladder at midpoint. You don't fall down all the way. I'm trying to do, if I can, it may be a dangerous strategy, is get those last flowers, and then I can try. I want that X. I want the X from extra. So I'll get 2 stabs at this now with the little octopuses. Someone's going to tell me what they actually are in the comments, please. If you know what they are, tell me. I've got no idea. I want E, X. That's what we want. I've got extra. We should get an animation now. Extra. Should be a bonus life and lots of points, hopefully, if my memory serves. Oh, it's a lady in not many clothes. Here, take this life energy and good luck, and I get 10,000 points. That's really important you get these on the earlier levels, because later levels you won't get much chance. They're too frantic. These balloons you can jump on. We can't jump. Well, you can't jump in the game, but you know what I mean. You can stand on them and go up. This is the Atari ST version, same level. There's something slightly dated for the era about the gameplay, but it doesn't matter. It just feels like it harks back to an earlier era. Even on the Spectrum, it's so polished here. We're over to Scene 4. And Scene 4 is an end-of-level baddie, or a big baddie on the Spectrum, but it's not on the other versions. Some versions have less levels than others. All these versions are cut down. The arcade version has far more levels and has another plot where you have to go and rescue, or you have to go defeat the bad guy after rescuing your mother. And in all these versions, they cut down slightly, or making approximations. So on Scene 5 on the C64, and we haven't reached that crocodile level yet. And I think all these versions, barring the ST and an Amiga, were done by different people, and they've all decided to cut slightly different things. And here we are on the Amstrad, and the animation is dreadful. Could someone do a remake of this, like they've remade Bubble Bobble? Because Bubble Bobble was a bit slow on the CPC, and they've recoded it, and it's really good. And it's not even using things like the Plus hardware. But this just needs a kick up the backside. Graphically, I think, yeah, I could do a little bit with the graphics, tidy them up a bit, but the main thing is just that speed and animation. That's level 5, on to level 6. And yes, this is a multi-load game if you've got a tape. And this is level 10 on the Amiga. Remember, this was level 4 on the Spectrum. With the crocodiles, but it plays exactly the same. And you get a separate tune as well. And basically, you just wait down the bottom and keep on hitting them. This is the ST version. Pretty much identical. And C64, where this is in fact Scene 8. Again, remember what I said, it gets confusing trying to do a direct comparison of these versions because different developers, they've all got to accommodate the memory in their machines, and you've got all these versions are an approximation of the arcade version, so you have to keep that in mind. Nice little firework effects when you complete the level on the C64. Level 11 on the Amstrad, and you'll have noticed, well, level 11 on the Amstrad, I've not seen a big baddie so far on the Amstrad version, no crocodiles. So I don't know what we're missing in this version. We're certainly missing a few frames of animation. Cleared that level pretty quick. Just needs something. It needs a better animation. It needs a bit of more audio as well. You don't miss it as much. You don't miss the music as much on the Spectrum version because it's faster. Sounds an odd thing to say. The Specky version is very fluid. This Amstrad version isn't. It's the graphics artist has done a fairly good job, but the coders just haven't got it running at a reasonable speed. And the way the levels match up now is just forget about trying to compare them, because they don't even match between the Spectrum and Amstrad versions. There's level 12 on the Spectrum. Nice, again, just nice jumping back off the Amstrad version. I keep on saying it. And I've got another big baddie on the Specky here. This big whale that fires up little whales. And I'm using a collision detection cheat now here on the Spectrum, by the way. Right, so on level 14 of the Amiga version, and another little animation there. I'm off to level 15, and they've got the bees that we've seen already on the Amstrad. I forward it on to level 19, and they've got these little snake things with horns. A lovely variety of baddies in the game. All of them has got their own unique characteristics which you need to learn. They've all got their own unique dangers. You see, I didn't bother collecting all the flowers on that level. It just wasn't worth it. There's too much going on some of these levels to do that now. You're best off getting your extra points and extra lives on the early levels. This is a nice power up. It fires off. Oh, little sparks there. And now here on level 20 on the Amiga, we get the big whale. And these big baddies had such a large impact in the magazine reviews of the time. Because big baddies in games were a nice thing to see, and people like they're graphically impressive, and you go, wow, look at that. Also quite hard to get past. This was not too bad. We're what, just about halfway through the game from memory on the Amiga. Oh, oh, oh! Use your ladder to get out of the way. Remember, you always forget that you can't jump, but you do have a ladder. Oh, no, I got hit that time. I am on infinite lives now, by the way, on the Amiga. Over the ST, it's ostensibly the same again. Ostensibly the same cheat as well. I've got 24 lives, I think it says there. Over the C64, lovely big graphics. Look at this, isn't this gorgeous? You can hit him in different places on the C64. And yeah, I'm on multi-live cheat on here as well. Rodland isn't terribly difficult, but I do need to try and get into far of this game as possible. So on level 23 on the Amstrad CPC, I've not seen one big baddie yet. Which leads me to believe there aren't any in the game until the end. For whatever reason, they didn't finish the game, ran out of memory, whatever. There are no big baddies, and that's appalling. It's lazy, it's horrible. I'd rather have the Spectrum port the Spectrum version, do it in less colours, save a bit of memory, do something, than just do a half-finished game. Because this game feels, the more you play it, half-finished. And as I say, that could be for memory reasons, or it could be they just ran out of time. Could be they couldn't be bothered. Who knows? It's a massive omission for a game that has so much those large end-of-level baddies. Or those large stage baddies. And now you get these star things that throw boomerangs at you as well. They're really dangerous. Because you've got a few of them around. And you can't destroy those big things with spikes on either. Just stay out of their way. I'm going to try and get all the flowers if I can here. Scene 17 on the Specky. And when you jump back to the Specky as well, it's nice to just lose that, not visual clutter, but it's just nice having a much simpler display. It's quite easy on the eye. I've got my extra on the Specky, finally. And there we go. We've got there we go. Here, take this life energy and good luck. And this is scene 30 on Specky. Accidentally press pause. And it's a big elephant. Let's just hope he's putting the other little mini elephants out of his trunk and not where they actually look like they're coming from. Over to the Amiga for the same baddie. Yeah, it's all the same, just more colourful, better backgrounds, or background at all. And why the elephant is on strings, I don't know, but hey-ho. Quite hard now, quite hard to get past these baddies, I'm sure other people will say. Otherwise, I find these very challenging now. Artwork in the game is lovely, it's full of character, and I know it's all ported from the arcade machine. But really good. And these little elephants are fairly easy to knock out, and they don't climb up ladders or anything after you. But he's fairly lethal, flying around, trying to keep out of his way. And here he is on the C64 with just a plain background. And because I've got infinite lives, I can just take this fairly easy. Scene 34 on the Specky. I wasn't expecting this many levels. We've got to be fairly near the end of the game now. Here we go. This is as far as you will get. Could do with some sinister music rather than the generic music from the game, but never mind. You must first defeat me if you want to save your mom. Here we go. Looks like a transformer. And what's he firing out? Modified elephant sprites? And this guy's impossible. He's really, really hard. And on this version, well, on the Specky version, that's how he starts out. Let's go to the C64 version. Because I suspect RAM constraints have come into play on the Specky version. You only see him in one form. On the other versions, he changes form. Here we go. And he's tiny! He's a little tiny thing, but he bounces around very fast. But this is not his final form. Every time you defeat him, he gets bigger and bigger and bigger. As you can see, I've invoked player 2, by the way, so you can see 2 players in action. All the versions support 2 player, and that's one of the unique and rather fun things about the game. Right, let's try this on the full Amiga version. This is level 40 on the Amiga. And he starts off like the C64, this little cute thing that bounces around, and then he gets very big indeed. And he scales up, and he's really, I mean, even with the cheat, this was hard. I kept on losing lives and losing lives and losing lives, but I guess an end of game boss isn't intended to be easy. And he gets even bigger. Ironically, the bigger he gets, the easier he is to defeat. Although when he gets big, that happens as well. Every time he stamps his foot, more things come down. You've got to be pretty good to win at this game, I reckon. And he shrinks down again, back to his original form, and lies on the floor defeated, and you go down and hit him. He waves a little white flag and you go and hit him with your rod, and that's it. Game completed. Boss clear. Bonus 1,000 points. 10,000 points. Mom! Mum. Tam, Rit, thank you. And thus the demon was locked away for good. We can get past that lock pretty easily. Game over. Here we are on the Spectrum, end of the game. Boss clear. Clear bonus 10,000 points. That's scene 35 on the Specky. And we get the same animation. Some may say the Spectrum version lacks colour, but I think they've done a really good job of capturing the spirit of the game using monochrome and avoiding all colour clash. And there's the coders. Strawberry Jam and Sean McClure. The end. About 1991, the sales curve. The version by Twilight. Not the Mint. This is the end of the C64 version, and my capture went wrong because there's a really good scrolling message at the end of the C64 version. I've lost it all, I'm so sorry. So let's go to the CPC version. There's going to be a big ending. I'm looking forward to this. We're waiting for that big end of level baddie. Right, it's all going to kick off. Here we go, some baddies coming down to... No. No, it's just some baddies who are the worst baddies in the game, and you've got no way of getting out of their way other than using a ladder and some balloons, and there's no big end of level baddie, and it's all rather horrible. What a bodge. What a complete and utter bodge. They couldn't even put in some big baddie, even if he didn't move. Even if the big demon thing just stood there doing nothing and a few other baddies came after you. But no, they couldn't be bothered. What a swizz. What a con. Horrendous. Amstrad version's been cheated. Well done, kids. Thank you, Tam and Rit. Because of your brave fight, I'm free of the tower. Yeah, but I'm not free of your terrible, terrible game, am I? Oh, Mum. No, I'll give it back. Oh, Mum. They've put Mum, not Mom. The Doomsday Machine congratulates you on completing Rodland. We couldn't finish it without cheating. Well, neither could I, and that's nothing to boast about, I suppose, but your conversion, I'm afraid, the Doomsday Machine is fairly terrible. So, Rodland, it's a kind of Rainbow Island, Bubble Bobble type game, and Power Cell Stars, which we saw later, of course. But actually, it's a pretty good knockabout arcade game for your home micro. Amiga and ST versions lead the way. They're closest to the arcade. They're really fun. They're visually gorgeous, and they sound good as well, and they play really well, very good fluidity. Special mention goes to the Spectrum version. Yeah, it's cut back, less levels, very basic graphics, but it's really good animation, movement, and fluid gameplay. And you know what? That's worth so much. When you've got the Amstrad version, that's fairly lush graphics, but has really appalling animation. But you have the Spectrum with Spartan graphics, but it's really fast and smooth. I know which version I will go for, but the top 8-bit version is the C64 version. It's just a slightly cut down 16-bit version. It's really, really smooth. It looks and sounds absolutely stunning. It's a really good conversion of the game, and certainly holds its own against the 16-bit versions.